Morning, welcome back. We're now going to continue with our second section on our reports training, and this is going to be our H analysis. So I've showed you now in the mid-depths where I've accessed my print data transactional drill down on daybook. We've looked at the 9 different reports that you can generate out of that report function. And what's very important to make sure that you understand that that's the movement summary. It's very important to print. And the deposits and the audit trail invoice details. So please make sure you know where to get this function. You will find this on data transactions drill down under the mid-depths on the print. Also, if you have more functions in GoodX like the stock and the creditors and financial, you can get also the same functions, the same reports directly out of your financial report menu. And I just want to show that quickly to you again. So once you logged into your financial report under Debtors. So here you will see any other advanced reports as well. I'm not going to cover all of them in today's webinar. We most probably will set up another webinar for the other reports that we feel you need to be aware of, like the unlinked receipts and invoices outstanding reports and data stats. We will cover most probably in a next webinar session. But at this moment, we're just looking at our data transaction drill down. And that's the one that I've covered now, and I showed you now how do you edit a blank report at any stage. That will never be saved. Otherwise, you will create your own report by clicking on new, or you will edit an existing report. So please make sure you understand then from the settings that what you need to tick and what needs to be unticked at what level, and save your report and save your grid. And like I said in the report, remember to check that your grouping is saved, your filters has been loaded, if you save filters in that sense, your columns have been moved in sequence, and your sorting has also been done. Save the grid and then save the profile. Also, when you print a report, check again that print, choose columns, and save those ticks also part of your profile. So now once your report is saved, you don't need to generate every time from scratch, but there's no harm in doing that. So in that sense, you always keep up to date on why you're printing the report and how I'm printing that report. So I hope this will help you, give you more control over your report setup, so you can decide what you want to see in your report. You can always tick the ticks, generate it, and then filter out the information that you require. Okay, so now I'm going to move over to the next important report for us. The first one I showed you was on the data transaction builder, and that was the actual movement summary. The movement summary must always be generated with the H analysis, because on that movement summary we actually have a H analysis amount that cross checks back to the H analysis and the detail to make sure we are balancing financially with those figures. So the reports must be generated at the same time before anybody else are starting to work again once you do monthly. So now let's look at the H analysis. I'm going to generate again also out of the mid-depths. So I go to print and I go to H analysis. So this is your data outstanding amount on the current 50, 60, 9, 20, 120 days. And 150 days plus 180 days plus, depending on how the report is set up. So here you will see all your outstanding amounts in total, and also you will see all your outstanding amounts per patient or per medical aid, depending on how you set up that report. And this is why I want to show this to you, so you understand that when I draw an H analysis, you always look at a total outstanding amount. That includes medical and patient outstanding amounts. When you look at a financial aid in any business, you always look at the total. But in the medical industry, we have 2 specific amounts we're dealing with, a patient amount and a medical aid amount. And sometimes we want to see what is the medical aid still owing us and what is the patient still owing us. But always remember, when I generate this H analysis, it must always be the full outstanding amounts. I cannot send an H analysis to the auditors or the doctor just with patient outstanding or just medical aid outstanding. You can add both, but there should be a total balance that balances back to your movement summary, and the auditors works from that figures, because that's your outstanding debt book, depending on how you want to call it. That's what the people outside of your practice still owes you. And that's very important for us also in the H analysis, and I will get to that now, is you always must print an H analysis not equal to 0. So that is very important. You cannot just print an H analysis greater than 50 Rand and send that to the auditors, because that's not the real reflection of your outstanding debt. Because even if there's credit on your patient, you owe them money. And the auditors and a doctor must at all times be aware of those credits. You cannot hide them, you must show them. So always print an H analysis not equal to 0 for your auditors or doctors. You as a credit controller, managing the debt in that sense, managing the patient's collections, you can print an H analysis greater than 50 Rand or unequal to 0 depending on your needs. But do not give that report to the auditors. It will not give them the real reflection of what's going on in the practice. Also, the doctor must be aware of his credits, because legally he must refund those patients when they ask for it. So you must be aware of all your credits at all times. So this is the same principle now, like I've shown you now before. Once you go into the major report functions in GoodX, the screen actually looks the same. This is my current profile for my H analysis. We've got a new button, an edit button, delete button, print direct, print to grid, set as default, options, and close. Same as I showed you last time before. Remember, when you generate your report, click on new. If you want to change something in those report, rename or save as, use it or delete that report. Print to grid directly to your HTML view. You can print it or mail it, or print to grid, so you can still apply your filters or groupings or sorting. But typically print to grid is where that is already saved as part of your report. Okay, so now let's look at a new report again. Blank, always you edit a blank, but it will never save it. There's no save to grid, there's no save profile button. So it will always lose its settings. So that's a quick view of how I can just generate a report. But once you want to do your own report, click on new, give it a name, and start with that. So typically I will print a H analysis on a month end. So I'm just going to say H analysis, and I'm going to make it total outstanding, and I'm also going to call it for month end, because that's a report I want to print every month end for my auditors or for my doctor. So I'm going to set it up like that, and I'm going to say okay. Same thing with our previous reports with our data transaction drill down. Here you will see again your report parameters. Under report parameters, you must apply the right ticks. Now, every report will have made certain ticks unique to that report. So the status stats report, the invoices outstanding report, the unlinked receipts, the invoices outstanding, I already said that, the H analysis, the data transactions drill down, the movement summary. Every report will have the unique ticks. So I cannot go through every report in this session. We will cover some of them as we go along. If you're still unsure what some of these settings mean, please consult our manual and please consult our FCLs to help you with specific reports. Okay, again, report parameters. So let me run you through this settings again for specifically the H analysis. Again, we start with the year. You can see I will set the tick that says default date period, because I want it to be on the right year on the right month. So it will default to today's month. So anytime you set that tick, it will select the 2020 book year, and it will default to June or the month you're currently in. So when you save a unique report, that default date tick report will always update the date. Doesn't matter to what you've said. If you untick that and you save a report for 2019, it will keep it on 2019 forever until you change that report again. So be careful. That's why we say put on your tick. Select a month. So when you get to the end of May, you do your month end. You will select obviously May to do your month end H analysis as well. So print your report, do your month end, print your report, but do them in quick succession to one another. Also, you can print this H analysis to a capture date or transaction date. That will rarely happen, because then we calculate the values up to that date. So yes, it can be done if your auditor requires it, but typically it's not necessary. So for a month-end H analysis, you always draw it per period, per up to that month. Also here, grouping settings. There's a lot more than under data transaction drill down. So here you can also decide how you want to generate this H analysis. You will have medical aid administrator to the scheme and even the options. You will have your treating practitioners, so that's your doctors, your physios, your dentists, whatever is the person, your referral practitioners, your service center, even your billing groups. I'm not going to go that into detail. It's more for our price list structures in the system. The scheme group, credit control path, and even the credit control phase. That's if you use our CCA functions for the credit control. Here we can set up a tool that will guide you on a medical aid credit control path or a private credit control path, and also set up the phase you're currently in, so there could be 7 or 8 steps in between, and which steps or phase might that patient be on this age analysis. Then your PMBs, your per debtor status, very handy tool also in the credit control world, and with the age analysis, very powerful. If you're not sure where the debtor status is, please contact your FCL and ask immediately what it is. The debtor status is a very handy tool to filter your age to patients that's already been ITC'd, handed over, payment arrangements. You want to include or exclude them from your age analysis. So for credit controllers, this is very important you understand your credit control options. And the debtor status is a very important function that you need to know about to make sure you know how to use. Per credit control assistant or the handover status. So the ones we will be using here must probably be the scheme, practitioner, referral doctors, service center, and status. Those are the important groups that you most probably will filter your age analysis on. And again, it's very handy to look into that. I'm going to show you maybe just the status as an example. See, the moment I select it, now it opens up again for me all grouping, select grouping. I want to select my status, and again, per transaction level recommended. So now you can start seeing GoodX in all our reports. There will usually be a grouping option, and in that grouping option, you need to decide, do I want to select out of that grouping, or do I want to see all the items in that group on the report. So please make sure you understand the functionality between the groups and showing groups and all groups and select grouping and that's it. Play around with the report, create a new one, edit it until you're happy with your report. If you don't like it, delete it and try again. So on the right hand side is all the major filters now that we want or parameters for this report. Summary only means just give me the totals. So basically, if you report one liner that says outstanding, current 30, 60, 90, 120 days. And then you have your level of detail. Do I need to look at all my detail? Do I need to look at specifically unlinked documents? Must that be added, or only unlinked documents only as a column to be added to the age analysis to see receipts that was posted but not linked to the invoices? A very handy option to quickly pick up your unlinked receipts if you're not using the unlinked receipts report under the financial reports. So if you're not sure what I mean by unlinked reports, please make sure from your SFL you understand the principle. In a nutshell, it's receipts that was posted before billing was done. And so the receipts must be linked to the billing on a later stage. So please understand that unlinked receipts have a major impact on your age analysis depending on when the receipt and invoices take place. This will typically create a plus and a minus on a 50 or a 60 days. And you will phone us and ask what is wrong with the age analysis, and we usually will start with fault finding at unlinked receipts. Please ask your FCL to explain this more in detail, but be aware of your unlinked receipts. And that's why also I said, please make sure you print an age analysis always unequal to 0 so you can pick up your credits. Because unlinked receipts is a lot of time part of those credits, and it needs to be sorted. Okay, so now I can decide, okay, so that's my level of detail. So what must be shown on my age analysis? Summary. So summary means do not show per age, per patient, per patient, per medical aid, or per doctor. Show me only 30, 60, 90 days for the practice. It's literally just a one line that shows you the different ages. So now a very important tick here is how must we show you this age analysis? Is it the total only, 50,000 outstanding, or is there medical aid portion and what is the patient portion? If you do decide to select these, the age will become massive and it typically cannot be printed then out to you. So it can be viewed on screen and printed, because now you have almost 10, 15, anything from 15 to 20 columns next to one another, and no landscape can print all those many columns and fit to one page and make it readable. So please make sure that if you decide to print this, you will see this on the screen. If you want to physically print this, we do prefer you just use the total, or maybe one or both, depending on your views on how you're going to set it up. But typically total means show me what is outstanding on my account of the patient, on the data on the main member. So it will show you a total amount. If you want to see the breakdown per patient medical aid, then you tick those, and I will show it to you more in detail. How must the age be generated? Is it a specific age, or the oldest age, or all ages? So here you can say, for instance, give me an age analysis only from 90 days plus, or just give me with all the oldest ages together on the age analysis. But the specific age is the one you will most probably use the most if you want to target a specific group, like the 120 days plus or the 90 days plus, because you're doing credit control and you want to follow up on those patients. Then I will use the specific age. Otherwise, I will print an age analysis normally on all ages, from current to 180 days plus. Again, how must this report be sorted per data? Can I select specific data out of that age analysis? Yes, you can, but recommended you should not do that unless for specific needs. And then your report order typically is alphabetically starting from A to Z for the member, moving down from A to Z. And now also the amount. How do I print my age analysis? All means show me every account on your system, not just outstanding, also the account that was paid in zero. So you will see your whole book, all your debtors, all your patients in that sense on your age analysis. And remember, this is a data age analysis. We look at the accounts and not the patient directly in that sense. So it's a total under data outstanding, whether it's a zero or not. And a specific amount is where you say, okay, print for me an age analysis bigger than 50 Rand for credit control purposes. Give me an age analysis not equal to zero for the doctor and the auditors. So please make sure that if I want to set up this correctly, I would set this up per data stage. I will select all detail. I will have my total selected, all ages, specific amount, all datas alphabetically. So now that information will generate as a basic age analysis. And I can specify the amounts I want to look at. I don't want to see the zero account. It will just clutter up my age analysis. And that's why I would like to work with a specific amount, so I can only see the negatives and the positive outstanding amounts. Now I can add some extra info to my age analysis, contact details. Here I can see the telephone numbers and additional information. So this is where I can print my age analysis for credit control purposes. So I can actually see their name, their surname, and their telephone numbers and email address, so I can mail and call the patient if I need to. That's if you do not use our CCA functions, credit control assistant functions in the system. Print last payment date, also a very handy option. Additionally, on the age analysis, I'm going to select that one to show when was the last time payment was made on this account. It could be medical aid or patient. We do not show the difference between the two. It's just to quickly indicate whether a payment did take place and when the payment did take place. And then also, when was the last note made on this account? A note in a credit control environment should be very important. All communication with the patient and medical aid should be under notes. And if I use the age analysis as a credit control tool where I follow up the outstanding debt, outstanding monies, then I want to see when was the last time I made a note on that account number, and we show you the date. Also very handy for credit control purposes in detail. But I'm just going to do that. So I've set up now my age analysis to print up till end of May. Per data status, I'm going to ask him to select my data status, select grouping, total outstanding, specific amount, all ages, all datas, alphabetically, but print the last payment date. Save profile, I can do it already here to start saving my new report that I called age analysis total month end. Yes, and then I'm going to say next. And now it's going to generate the next screen, because always you need to select now. I've selected now the option that says specific amount, so I must tell now GoodX what specific amount, what dates am I looking at. So I'm going to say not equal to 0. That's the age analysis you must generate for the doctor and the auditors at the end of the month. I want to see any outstanding amounts, even 1 cent. So I can do my journals and get those written off as small amounts. And then I want to look at my credits, my negatives, so I can see whether we made a mistake. So duplicate receipts, the medical aid and the patient pay. So then you must refund your patient. So that's why I always print an age analysis at the end of one not equal to 0. We cannot make more. Attend to this. Make sure you print your age analysis correctly. You cannot send an age analysis to the auditors greater than 50 Rand because you will not see the correct values of your outstanding debt of the patients to your practice. Please make sure you understand this is very important, that you generate the right age analysis for the right month for the right amounts. Now I click on next. Now this is where I say to the system, select for me my debtors status, and here I can see who's my bad payers, who's my ID required, normal, handed over statuses, medical aid required, slow payers. So you decide on your data status, and when I generate this, I can now filter out my payment arrangement patients, or exclude or include them. So I can select all the other, but not my bad payers. So I don't want to look at them for my credit control purposes, but for an age analysis for my auditors, I want to see everything. So now it generates my age analysis, and remember again, our report always open up in the middle of the main screen. You can always just maximize it to see the full view. And as you can see now, this is my age analysis, and there's a banded age here at the top left corner. So this is my main age. On the left hand side is now my debtor status. We started now with that. And just to make this, I'm going to apply base fit, and then it will fit your columns nicely into the longest text available. So this is a very nice handy tool to quickly just set your report in a nice grid view, so you can easily view it, and then you can go to the next option of printing it. Again here, because I'm in a new edit mode, I'm in the grid mode as we call it. So now I can save my grid and save my profile. But before I do that, I can change my column sequence. I can move my data maybe to the front, and I can move my age analysis to my file number to the back, because I don't really want to see it. Or I can move it just simply back to the end of the report, because I don't want to see that. I only want to see the status, the account, and I want to sort it alphabetically. So I click on alphabetical or account number. You can decide which order you want to sort it. And then I can drag up my grouping to my status, and now it will look like this, where I can see how many bad payers is outstanding, how many has been discontinued, how many is my normal outstanding debt, and who is my slow payers. So Mr. Fenter is my slow payer. By clicking on that pluses, you can open it up, or you can just go to screen apply paste fit. It will open up all your columns of all the details. Now I can say save to grid, and I can say save profile. Oh, and I forgot the print option, so I go print active view, choose columns, and I said I don't want to print the file number. Click on next. Yes, that's my view. I'm happy with that view. Now I can save my grid again and save my profile. So now we saved the orders of my column, I saved my grouping, I saved my sorting, and I also saved even how I'm going to print this age analysis. And remember, at any stage I can export my reports to Excel or to CSV or to HTML or plain text as we call it. And remember, once the filters is applied, that's how it will be exported as well. There are advanced export functions as well. Play around with it and see if you need something out of that information. So now I've generated my report, it's saved. But very important from the age analysis point of view, I print my report not equal to 0, and I decide what ages is included and what additional text I want. So that's why the report parameters are so important. Print my last payment date, and that's also nice to see. Oh, so the last payment I received was the 15th of May, and here I can see the last payment I received on Mr. Botha's, for instance, was the 6th of November 2018, and this one never paid at all. So for credit control purposes, the age analysis is a very handy tool as well to follow up on your outstanding amounts. You don't need to print this last payment date for your auditors. Doctor wants to see it, or your treating provider, you're more than welcome to add that to this. The band and age is where I see a bit different information. You're more than welcome to look at this and play around with your settings. Create your own report, put under tick, generate a report, and see what you get. And if you don't like it, go edit the report again, remove your ticks, and save your report until you're happy with the report that makes sense to you and the report the auditor wants and doctor wants, because the auditor's report can look different maybe from doctors or from the treating provider. So tick under ticks that you would like to see. Now let's just do this again with the medical aid and patient options. So I'm just going to run that again, not equal to 0, and I'm going to say next again, and I'm going to select all my statuses, next again, go to normal age view, and as you can see, it's not doing what I wanted to do, so I'm going to create a new one from scratch. So I'm going to do that, medical aid patient, no other view, specific amount, all data, all alphabetical, all ages, specific age at least. Can you also decide upon all ages? All ticked, yes, nice. Click on next, greater than 500. Does that matter? In this scenario, the idea is to show you a different view. So this is my total balance, is the green. Then I've got my white balance here, and this is my patient outstanding amounts. And then you have your blue balance columns here, and this is your medical aid outstanding balances. And this is why I said to you to print this on paper. It's very difficult. It compresses it to very small text, and it's very difficult to read. So on screen it's fine. You can export here to Excel if you want to, and manage it then from there. So decide how you want to view it. If you want to see the total outstanding and just patient, you're more than welcome to do that, or your total outstanding or medical, or just patient outstanding. Either way option will work, but just make sure that when you send it to an auditor or your doctor, you always look at the total outstanding. You as an admin coordinator or a credit controller or a practice manager or even doctor can look always at the free balances at all the same time. But it's not easy to print it, but it's easy to work it from the screen. There's also options where you can SMS from here, so please look into that. Consult your Excel manual for that. You can send now SMSs for everything that is outstanding. So any other questions on these age analysis, please let us know. You can use it for different scenarios depending on your needs, but the main purpose for this age analysis is printed on a monthly basis, not equal to 0 with your movement summary under the debtors transaction drill down. That report goes to doctor, to the practice manager, to the auditors. At any stage, please create your own report, edit it as you would like it to be. If you feel it's not doing what it is, delete it and generate a new one again from scratch. There's nothing you can lose out of it. If you're not sure, just make a note before you delete the report for ODF the ticks if you're unsure of what they're going to mean for you. Go to next, choose your dates, choose your groupings as necessary, look at the necessary columns, balance, current, 30, 60, 90 days, and what is important here, we are a financial system, so balance is what is outstanding in total. Current is for this month, like now in June, 30 days will be May, and so you will move backwards. Every time you cross your 30th or the 31st on the month, the age will move to the next month. So please make sure you're aware of it. We are a financially month-end system, so every time you go into the next month, the age will adjust to the next period. Okay, if there's any other questions here, please ask. From here we will go over to our next report, and that's just our code stats, and then after that we will go to our ICD-10 stats. Those two reports will go a bit faster. Then with the next webinar we will cover most probably our data stats and invoices outstanding and unlinked receipts. And there's a lot of reports we can cover in a lot of modules, but I think that's the second webinar we will cover for you for a bit more advanced functions on the system. Currently, as long as you can get through the data transactions drill down, make sure you get to the movement summary, your deposits, and your audit trail. Those reports are very important, and also make sure you get to your age analysis not equal to 0. Okay, thank you very much. Please ask us on the live chat if there's anything we need to discuss. And I'm going to close this section now, and we will continue in a few minutes with our next sections, and that will be the code stats report. Thank you very much. See you later.